Hi everyone, I'm Leo, founder of Unstuck Agency. We've been working with PR agencies for the last 5 years on their client acquisition strategies, both in the United States and in the UK. We specialize in helping businesses to grow their client portfolios overseas. So if you're in the US, we help PR agencies take on UK and European clients. And if you're in the UK, we help you to onboard US clients. Now, what I want to do is create a video to really share what we've learned over the last 5 years in terms of the tools you can be using to grow your PR agency in a cost-effective way. Now, my background is business development, cold calling, email, LinkedIn outreach on behalf of different businesses. So it's something that we've used to grow our own agency and also a tool that we've used on behalf of a number of different PR agencies. However, we're not biased towards any digital marketing platform. And over the years, we've tried various means of growing our clients' accounts, from Facebook ads to direct mail to even really experimental tactics like handwritten letters. We have found that cold email and cold LinkedIn is the most effective way at starting new conversations that eventually result in conversions on behalf of PR agencies over the last 5 years. And I'm going to show you in this video which tools you can be using. PR professionals are very sensitive, and I'm sure if you're a PR agency owner or work within a PR agency, you're very conscious about the way your brand is represented, and you absolutely should be, because it's a trust-first industry and it's relationship-driven industry. We use email in order to build trust and to start new relationships, so you can actually add people to the top of your funnel, and then you're able to both pitch your services but also nurture those relationships and actually build those partnerships. So when prospects and your target clients do enter the purchase window, you're the first agency in mind because you've actually been taking that time to build credibility. And in other videos, I'm going to talk about ways you can nurture relationships, but something as a PR professional you're likely to be very good at. So that's inviting these people to events that you're going to be at or events that you're organizing. It's sharing correspondence with them over time, either through tools like MailChimp, if you've got that nurturing sequence in place already, or just on an ad hoc basis, sharing relevant tips with them, sharing articles. Hi, I thought of you based on our conversation. I thought this could be helpful. And actually just spending the time to nurture those relationships. And it's for you to decide how much time you invest in per prospect. And there's different strategies that you can use to nurture those relationships. You can have a list of 10 people that you're going to try and nurture over a whole year and have it very low and really spend time and money to nurture each of those relationships. Invite people out for dinner, really spend time, take your time crafting correspondence to them to really demonstrate that you're, very conscientious about wanting to work with them, but also extremely knowledgeable about their business, their company goals, and their space. Or you might choose to nurture 1,000 or 2,000 people over the course of a year, and you're going to need more automated strategies and a lower kind of time and cost investment per relationship. So you might want to automate 4 leadership sequences over MailChimp, so over email, and a more newsletter style email going to those prospects after you've added them to the top of funnel. But the main focus of this video is going to be about cold outreach to actually start those relationships. And the reason we use cold email and cold LinkedIn is simply because we found them to be the most effective. It's really important that you send correspondence that's relevant to individuals that you're contacting. So that means highly segmented by company size or maturity, by job role, by location, by things like fundraising indicators, by niche and industry. So not just contacting, say, food and beverage companies, but contacting specifically Chinese restaurants, or not just contacting all tech companies, but specifically contacting fintech businesses. And within fintech, you're going to contact payments or crypto, whatever industries that you have the most impressive case studies and the most impressive experience, as well as what's strategically important to your PR agencies. So where do you have the highest billing clients? Where do you have the stickiest clients? That's what's going to guide your targeting strategy. But it's paramount that when you actually contact over email, that you're mentioning the relevant experience that you have. So the relevant clients of yours, if you can mention them, that are similar to them, the results you've got for them, the nature of that relationship, not just saying, hi, I've worked with Lehman Brothers. I don't think they exist anymore. But I've not, I'm not just saying I've worked with Barclays Bank or HSBC, but saying things that are accurate based on the nature of your relationship. So if you've been the main PR lead at Barclays or HSBC, or you've worked in a senior comms position at those businesses, or your agency manages their entire UK or US PR strategy or global PR strategy or global thought leadership strategy or global executive thought leadership strategy, whatever it happens to be in terms of the nature of your PR services, you want to qualify the nature of that relationship. So if you've done that for 10 years, being able to say something like, hi, we've been the chief driver of growth, or we've helped establish this now well-known brand as a category leader in the payment tech space, whatever the Chinese restaurant space, whatever the actual niche happens to be, being able to say that you've been the chief driver. And in this video, I'm going to be touching on which tools we recommend you use when you're actually conducting the outreach. So what those tools actually look like in terms of the tech stack that you can be using. I'm not going to go into too much detail in terms of how you set up those tools. Some are more complicated than others. Automating LinkedIn outreach for your PR agency is much more simple and straightforward in my experience than automating cold email campaigns. And I'm going to talk about the plus and minuses of automation versus doing this manually and some of the considerations you might have. So let's crack on. I'm going to share my screen and show you how you can do this yourself.
So the first thing you want to think about when you're doing cold email and LinkedIn outreach is where you're going to get your contact data. Now, there's a number of different tools. We recommend using Apollo. We've tried a number of different sources. We find Apollo data to be passable. What you're able to do in Apollo is do a people search, and you're able to search by specific criteria. So here you can see I'm searching by specific job role. So all roles related to PR marketing and comms. You can also filter by seniority level. You can then filter by location, company size, by exact headcount, specific industries, and you can also use a keyword search function in order to narrow down that data. It's not 100% reliable. You can also search for things like revenue, funding announcements, and other additional signals. And then what you do is you download that Apollo data. The next step is to process that data through zero bounce. And you also want to filter that Apollo data. And we can go into greater detail on that in additional videos, but this is going to be a general overview of the entire tech stack that you can use to conduct your outreach. But you need to make sure that you're filtering your contact data to ensure that the people you want to be in that list, i.e., who you've written down here, are in fact in that list. You will get other industries coming through that aren't relevant. So in this list, I'm doing fashion. Industries will slip through. It's not a 100% reliable tool. So you need to filter those headers in the Excel file. It usually comes through as a CSV that you're able to filter to make sure the correct job roles are there, the correct company sizes, revenues, locations, job role, etc. You then need to verify that those email addresses are still active. It's a very simple tool to use. You just click validate new list, and the tool is called Zero Bounce. That will then give you a list of all the email addresses that are active, along with those LinkedIn profiles as well for the active profiles. Now, with the LinkedIn list, you can utilize the inactive email addresses or the wrong email addresses as well. But generally speaking, for time efficiency, you might just choose to use the valid only list of the people that fit your target market criteria. You then want to move on to enriching your data, so carrying out research to find out more things about these individuals. So there's a publicly available tool called Clay. I do not claim to know how to use Clay well at all. I've experimented with it a bit. We've got our own proprietary tool that we call our scraper that conducts research for us. What this allows us to do is to categorize businesses by their specific niche using AI. It's really simple. We built this around 3 years ago, which is why we like it. Clay will allow you to do various things as well to find out more things about the companies that you're contacting. So if we take the software space, for example, there's hundreds or maybe even thousands of different subcategories within software, from development agencies through to specific types of SaaS businesses like HR SaaS. This is a SaaS tool right here, like a sales SaaS tool that we're looking at. So what we want to be able to do is segment. So when we're reaching out to specific types of businesses, we're referencing our most relevant case studies to the specific niche as well as to the wider industry. That's really important and key. If you're reaching out to a high-end fashion brand, mention the high-end fashion case studies that you have. That's a really important ingredient in any outreach on behalf of a PR agency. You then want to contact those individuals, and there's some automated tools that I'm going to touch on which will allow you to do that. This is a tool that I use. It's called Smart Leads, and it will allow you to send cold email outreach. It will allow you to also monitor all your replies in the master inbox, integrate Gmail inboxes. Do not send with your main domain. You need to set up alternative domains, and I recommend a tool called Pork Bun in order to help you set up those alternative domains. So if you've got techpragency.com, you set up techpragency.co.uk, try techpragency.com, and so on and so forth. Try and avoid hyphens, and you can set these up in the DNS records in Pork Bun to make sure it all auto forwards to your main domain. I recommend setting up 10 domains. No domain should send more than 10 emails per day, absolute maximum. So 100 emails going out on an automated basis per day. That's the tool we use for sending cold email. Same again for Meet Alfred. You want to segment your list as much as possible using the data that you found with Apollo or other online tools to enrich data. So you're reaching out with relevant case studies, and then you're able to reach out to those different segments via LinkedIn, and you're able to contact up to around 35 people a day. Once you've warmed up your account, start with 5 outreach messages per day. We can dive deeper in additional videos in terms of how to use Meet Alfred. We have found this to be the most simple sending tool. I highly recommend it. Same goes for Smart Lead. We found it to be the most straightforward in terms of sending cold email, but cold email is by far more complicated than sending cold outreach over LinkedIn. And again, you'll be able to get all your replies in here, or you'll also see the replies coming in. This sends connection requests. It does not send messages, and it will also send messages after the connection request is accepted. And I recommend sending connection requests. You then want to use a CRM. I'm not going to show you the main CRM, but this is the CRM that we use. I'm just not going to show you the main section, but this will show all your active deals and stages within your pipeline, and you can edit this. This is a free CRM by Snov, snov.io. It's very simple. It's easy to use. It's got all the key features that more complex and expensive CRMs like HubSpot use. I'm not saying you shouldn't use those, but we have found this to be useful for our purposes. To use automation or not to use automation, that's going to depend on the number of people in your target market. So if there's, say, only 1,000 people worldwide that fit your target market profile, I would advocate avoiding any automation tools and sending correspondence one by one over email. Again, not with your main domain, set up an alternative domain, but then send 10 emails per day, really tailored, really researched to each of those individuals. If you don't use automated tools, you're more likely to land in the inbox as well. So it's consideration. And if you've got a head of biz dev on your team who's got the time, perhaps they do this manually or with automation tools. It depends how much time you're able to dedicate to this as a founder. And you need to be realistic. If you don't have hours each day, it might make more sense to use some automated tools. But be warned that it is going to take time. It's going to be about a 6 month to 1 year learning curve to really get competent or competent enough using cold email. The learning curve is probably shorter relating to cold LinkedIn outreach, but it's going to take time and it's going to take some dedication at the start nonetheless. So I hope that was helpful. In summary, we recommend using Apollo to find your contact data, Zero Bounce to clean the contact data, Clay to enrich the contact data, or other applicable tools. We use our own tech, Smart Lead for sending cold email, Meet Alfred for sending LinkedIn outreach, and then Snuvio for their free CRM feature, and Pork Bun for setting up your subdomains. Thank you, and do get in contact if you've got any questions, or feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn.